My name is Bond.
James Bond.
Shaken, not stunned.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
I'm now aiming precisely at your groin.
That's not funny, 007.
For England, James? No.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Enter the BondVerse, where we're going through every single James Bond movie. I am one of your hosts, Kyle. I am joined as always by Nathan. Wonderful, lovely co-host Nathan. Say hello.
Hello, I'm here to ruin the plans of Kyle's Western cucked Soviet utopia.
Yep. You have a sort of like 8-step plan, you would say?
I think I have more than 8 steps. I think I have a highly convoluted plan involving circus clowns.
And I was going specifically for 8, considering the name of the movie, but sure.
You're smarter than me.
Because, we're just gonna get it out of the way. Just gotta say the name of the movie, because we're gonna have to say it a bunch. We're doing 1983's Octopussy today.
Sadly, we are doing 1983's Octopussy.
We're entering our first decade of the new era, because we started in 1973.
Yes, we did. God, this man's been at it for a while, isn't he?
He sure has, and he's not even done yet.
And it's starting to show.
Well, okay. Yes, this movie is not very well reviewed, apparently. Although, to be fair, I've seen that about most of the Moore movies. We haven't really brought it up, but
yeah,
the Moore movies are not super, critically or audience received, it seems.
I wonder if, because to talk about them now, no one says that, right? I wonder if that's like a product of, modern audiences of the time, where there was a bunch of, Sean Connery loyalists.
Even a decade later, those are some dedicated
Listen,
loyalists.
you still get fans of AC/DC that say the band died when Bon Scott died in 1980. They think that,
I suppose you're right, yeah. I mean, who can I say? Well, then just look at Star Wars, right? And we're at a full decade of the Disney era now, and people are still like, no, Disney killed it, so yeah.
George's vision is all that matters.
Yeah, George's vision, of course, yeah.
He was right about taxations and trade routes and wars, though.
Well, yes, indeed. So, this movie has a cold open for sure. Nathan, what's Bond up to this time?
Bond is at a horse show with Fidel Castro.
Never named, but it sure does look like Fidel Castro,
Sure
doesn't
does
it?
look like him, yeah.
He's got the hat and the beard, and I'm pretty sure he has a cigar.
He has a big old cigar, yes he does. He's with a on-the-ground fixer spy lady whose name I didn't know.
Yeah, she said he says he'll be in Miami, but then we never do. She never comes back.
Yeah, I even noted that. I was in Miami. I was like, yes, that's where we're going next. Never go there. A rare, never touch United States Bond movie.
No, that's true. Yeah, because we get, unless you count a US airbase is technically on American soil.
Oh, well, let's not go into sovereign soil. Well, Kyle, he's given a secret undercover identity because he's at this horse show. There's also it's on an airfield base where they're conducting experiments on a fighter jet or something.
Yes,
and when Bond arrives as a horse showman, he is given the cover of a engineer man who's called Toro.
Yeah, something Toro. He takes his horse racing jacket and flips it inside out, and it becomes a Cuban military jacket.
And he gets a fake little mustache to put on. And
yes.
A hat.
Which I'll say, I think Roger Moore could pull off a mustache.
No, yes,
not every man can, but I think he can.
Yeah, definitely can. Well, Bond says to this, Toro sounds like a load of bull. Which is just right off the bat, we're right into it, Yeah. This is a film of quips, This film tries to find the balance of the seriousness of For Your Eyes Only with the campiness of The Spy Who Loved Me.
I think this movie leans more towards camp, to be honest.
Oh yeah, but it's not as camp, I don't think. It's not there's no Jaws character,
It's not Moonraker, I'll give you that, right? I don't think we've ever gone as silly as Moonraker.
No, I don't think we ever will again. Well, listen, Bond dressing up as a clown I think is peak camp. Whenever I usually talk about the campness of the Moore era, Roger Moore dressed up as a clown is peak camp, actually. But it's actually in a film that I don't think's overly camp.
Well, I was just going to say that this intro and more or less this whole movie is Bond at some of his worst spying yet, I think.
Oh, yeah.
He gets caught within seconds under this cover identity.
By the real Toro.
By the real Toro. Well, first of all, he immediately judo chops some guy in the back of the neck.
No, Kel. He saluto chops him. Because he salutes the Cuban engineer that's working in the radar dish of this fighter jet, and as he salutes him, the guy turns around, and when he turns around, he brings the salute down into a judo chop.
Oh, very good.
It's
yes.
a saluto chop.
Yeah, so he gets caught. He gets on the back of the van. He gets them to look at the lady, the pretty lady smiling at him. He's like, go look at that. See, she's very pretty, isn't she?
Yes, it's true. Yeah, they're doing slapstick bits here because when when the men are distracted, he proceeds to launch a machine gun off one of them and jump trucks.
Well, he pulls the cards on their parachutes, which they're for some reason wearing.
Yeah,
I guess because they're from a fight. They're pilots.
They must be paratroopers or
but,
something. But why are you wearing?
I don't know why they need
is
parachutes.
Is it because they think that
yeah.
they might be called to fight at any moment and need to be ready?
At any moment they could fall off a cliff. I mean, it is a Bond movie, so it's entirely possible.
Yeah, or maybe it's at any moment they think they need to board some sort of helicopter with no time to waste and then jump into some combat zone. Anyway, so then we get a side shot of the truck catching up with the driver's seat of the truck he was prisoner on.
Uh-huh.
And they look and see the pretty woman, and she's waving, and they're waving back at her, and then she sort of pulls ahead a little bit, and then just sliding into frame is Moore with a machine gun at the back of the car.
It's a great comedy shot. I love it because he's just hello, and then he shoots them.
Yeah, he's hello, and he proceeds to blow them away. Now, we should mention on the back of this car is the horse carriage truck.
Yes.
That's the horse trailer. And I fell for this hook, line, and sinker, by the way, because I totally thought this was just meant to be a shitty prop that, it was meant to be a horse, but it's so obviously not a horse.
It's just a fake horse butt.
It's just a big fake horse butt sticking at the back of this horse trailer. It's so obvious, and I thought that's some shoddy workmanship there. But I believe that back then this is what they were doing. Mm-hmm. And it turns out no, because Bond says the infamous line, "I'll see you in Miami."
Yes.
And
Bond's classic catchphrase, as we know.
Bond's classic catchphrase. He hops onto the horse trailer, disconnects it from the vehicle, and he proceeds to get into the horse trailer and launch the butt off the fake horse. And
it kind of folds up.
Yeah, and he's now flying like a fighter jet that's one man fixed wing.
The horse was actually a tiny little one-man fighter jet, yes.
Yeah, so he launches up and into the sky, quick ascension. Does some tricks.
He does some tricks. They launch an anti-air missile at him.
Yep. By the way, kudos to the film because I completely fell for the horse. At this point, this is in my notes. I'm going touche movie. I didn't give you enough credit here. I felt silly.
I personally, I'm a big fan of the one-man fighter jet.
Yeah,
I think it's a pretty cool little prop.
So am I. I think it's very cool. I think it's better than Sean Connery's little yellow helicopter. What was that called? Nessie?
Oh God, Nessie. So I think it was Nettie or Nettle. What was that?
It was little Nessie and her father. Little Nessie and her father, and the father was Q.
Yeah, I'm looking at my notes for you. Nellie, little Nellie.
Little Nellie, yeah. I think this is a million times better than Little Nellie.
Doesn't get a cute name though, so
does not. But
yeah, so Bond, he has this missile chasing after him, and somehow he manages to go through the barracks that he was in before and get the missile to blow everything up in there. Which was that his plan from the beginning?
I think Bond's just working with the situation he's in.
I mean, he knew as much ahead of time to bring a little jet with him. So
for a hot extract, you never know. Bond always carries a little fighter jet with him. We've just never seen it because he's never needed it until now.
I suppose so. Yeah. Anyway, he blows it up, but he gets hit at one point, I think, and he has to bring it down.
He's running out of fuel because it's not got a big fuel slot. Right. Yeah, it can't hold it.
It's a tiny little jet plane. Yeah.
So we sort of do a perfect landing on a piece of tarmac road, and the wings fold up. And then
they need to fold up because they had to fit in the little the horse box. So.
Yes, but they fold up again because we're landing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he can fill up this jet at just any common petrol gas station.
Well, I think he was just doing a quip. So yeah, he rolls up to a petrol station and he looks up at the guy who's confused, and he just goes, "Fill her up, please."
And then we get like a freeze frame slapstick look at Bond just smiling as like transposed hands for the Bond title sequence sort of come all around him. It looks like the freeze frames from the end of an episode of a sitcom show. Like this is the bit where like it would go da 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 da, and then like there's a laugh track and all that.
Curtains close. Yeah.
Yeah, right. But no, we go to the worst Bond intro ever made.
Oh, I don't know if I can co-sign that.
You think All Time High by Rita Coolidge is better than what, Kyle?
You're the one who defends the Spy Who Loved Me one. I still can't identify how that one goes. I think it's better than that one. That one is so forgettable.
Nobody Does It Better by Carly Simon is a great
does it
song.
better. Yes.
I
Anyway, I think the song's fine. I think they're cowards for not putting the words Octopussy in the song.
Kyle,
though.
I'm going to give
What
you
are
an
doing?
example of how poorly remembered this song is.
Uh-huh.
See when you go and look up this song on Spotify?
Yep.
Do you know what album it's plugged on and what the album art for this song is?
What?
It's from the movie Ted, starring Mark Wahlberg and Seth
I
MacFarlane.
did see that, yes.
Because
I mean,
they
to be
use it
fair,
in that
it's a more
film.
recent movie.
But when has that stopped any other Bond song from being associated with its Bond film? You know?
You don't associate Live and Let Die with Shrek the Third or whatever.
I mean,
When they bafflingly sing it at John Cleese's funeral.
that's pretty iconic, yes. But I guarantee if you look it up, it'll be more to do with Bond and Paul McCartney than anything else. You'll actually maybe get the Guns N' Roses one first, actually. Yeah, this is the most forgettable and worst Bond song ever, and I'm going to stick my flag in this hill, and I'll die on it, frankly.
Yes, I will murder you on that hill, because I disagree. But
That's okay,
sure.
we'll fight it to the death then.
Uh-huh.
But when we exit these credits, Kyle, we're in East Berlin, not in fact Miami. What's happening?
No. Well, Nathan, a clown is running away, and contrary to how you might imagine things, the clown is being hunted. The clown is not the hunter.
The clown is being chased by an assassin. This is like a fucking nightmare. He's running around in the woods.
Indeed, yes.
But this clown
I
can
don't
fight.
think we ever get a name for this clown, but I've called him Bonzo in my notes.
Bonzo. Bonzo. Very good. Very good. It's all the same clown outfit
Bonzo
all
the
the
clown
film.
is yes. He's being chased through the woods by two goons that are throwing knives.
Knife throwing
Well,
assassins.
okay. We think it's one goon, and then we see that it's actually two dudes that are twins that are chasing him. Big twist.
Yep. We're doing some circus act bits here, Kyle.
The clown is running away. He gets a knife in the back and falls into the river, but he manages to claw his way to the British Embassy in East Berlin, or I guess West Berlin at that point, probably.
Probably, yes. And he crashes through the window in the private study of the ambassador and sort of rolls a Fabergé egg towards the ambassador.
Yes.
And, mission
We don't need
accomplished.
to explain what a Fabergé egg, do we? They explain what a Fabergé egg is in this movie, which is just kind of... I don't know why I assume that's assumed knowledge, but it's those, bejeweled eggs,
I don't think I would have
Fabergé
known the
egg.
name of this. I think, I'm familiar with, vaguely in pop culture what they are. But I think, frankly, I needed this film to name it, or else in this recording I'd be calling it some fucking egg.
I don't know why I'm so familiar with what a Fabergé egg is, but I am. So there
Kyle's
you go.
part of the bourgeoisie.
I used to watch a lot of Antique Roadshow.
Well, Kyle, this clown was actually 009.
Indeed, Bonzo was 009.
I think we should have been keeping track of Bond names and designations throughout this show. Because who
Well,
was
yeah.
Bill Fairbanks? Was he 009 at one point?
I think he was 005.
005? I just feel like
Yeah, I think Bill Fairbanks was 005.
I feel like we're just flying through some double O's, with former double O's and dead double O's and all over the place,
Oh no, Bill Fairbanks was 002.
Was he? Okay.
According to my notes, he was 002.
Good for you, the quick recall there.
I have all my notes in one document. It's useful sometimes.
That is useful. That is useful. I use the Apple Notes app and have to make different files for each film. I don't have to. I'm choosing to.
But yeah, so at least by this point, we are down 002 and 009. So
Yes, we are. Double O's are dropping like flies, and Bond's always sent into cover for them.
it's true. I mean, Bond, he just can't die. We do get substantially more office bants than usual in this movie.
Yes, we
which
do.
is nice.
Yes, we do. We are in London. We're in Whitehall. We're across the road from Downing Street, and You know, we would
We get a first-person shot of Bond throwing his hat, like
We
it's
would-
an FPS.
we would be in Downing Street, but Margaret Thatcher has a restraining order against 007.
After all that stuff that happened last time.
After all that stuff that happened last time, yeah. So we're meeting a young female who's the misdirect as the new Moneypenny.
Yeah, I thought this was a great misdirect because you're like, oh, they finally done it. They finally recast Moneypenny because she got too old.
Yeah, bye-bye,
It's
Louise
like, oh, you get
Maxwell.
more beautiful by the day.
Yeah,
And then we cut over and Liz Maxwell's still there.
yeah. We're all like, thank God.
A good bit, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like, oh, we can't.
Last woman standing, by the way, I would say, because in terms of original cast from Doctor No,
Yeah,
because we got Bernard Lee and Desmond Llewellyn only showed up in the second movie. So yeah,
Desmond
she's
Llewellyn, not
the
Dr. No?
longest running cast member.
crazy.
No, Q is mentioned in Doctor No, but he doesn't show up in person until
Right.
For Much of With Love,
Right,
where he
okay.
gives him the suitcase with all the stuff.
Yeah, and he's in like the safari outfit, or he's in like the weird
I
Hawaiian
think,
shirt.
I think Hawaiian shirt is Thunderball.
God, thank God you remember these things, Kyle. Well, our new assistant is a Miss Penelope Smallbone.
Indeed, yes.
And
Famous Bond character,
famous-
Penelope Smallbone.
famous Bond, much to be seen in the future, Miss Penelope Smallbone. And she's, very young and very pretty and all the rest of it. And,
Uh-huh.
Moneypenny makes comments about how this is, someone as beautiful as I used to be and all that. And Bond says, there's no replacing you, Miss Moneypenny, and gives her a rose because he's walked in with like a little bouquet of roses or something. And then
Yes, like a bouquet of flowers.
as he gives one rose to Moneypenny, he turns around and proceeds to give the rest of them to Penelope Smallbone. Which is just a funny bit after saying you're irreplaceable, like right in front of her,
Yeah.
for the camera. I enjoy this.
Well, Moneypenny, she has good humour about it, though. She says, well, enjoy it. It's the only thing you'll ever get from him.
Yeah. Which actually, considering we know Bond's a sexual predator, I think she should probably be a bit more on guard.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's ever actually... Like, he doesn't want to get in trouble with the HR department, right? He's never actually slept with Moneypenny, as far as we know.
The 80s, Kyle. He can do what he likes. I'm not saying he's ever slept with Moneypenny. I'm saying that he would probably sleep with Penelope Smallbone, though. She doesn't seem as
I don't know.
guarded and as professional as Moneypenny.
Maybe so. I do think it's funny that Moneypenny, who is M's assistant, has her own assistant now. Though.
Yeah. We're just hiring out. This is what they call big state.
Right,
This is just government bloat.
Margaret Thatcher's just giving them too much of a budget. They've got more money than they need. They're just hiring extras for no reason at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going in to meet our new M, Kyle. We have new M.
We have a new M.
This is a
Or do we? Question mark.
This is an actor called Robert Brown. Now, in The Spy Who Loved Me, he was Admiral Hargreaves. And whilst to me, and Amazon Prime Video's X-Ray feature, where it shows you the cast of actors, this to me would seem pretty clear that this is just the Admiral from that film has now been promoted to the position of M for the British Secret Service.
Because obviously M isn't an actual name, it's a title or a designation,
Yes,
right?
precisely. But, however, there has been fierce fandom debates about whether or not this is actually just a recasting of Bernard Lee's character and is indeed just the same person and they're just using an old actor. A bit like how they've done that with Blofeld a lot. The Admiral just is still a other person, maybe it's his twin. I think this is actually just Admiral Hargreaves got promotion. Amazon
I
thinks
prefer
as well.
that version as well.
Yeah, so do I.
I think that's neater because I didn't note it, but there is another British guy in this office. There's three old British dudes in this office when Bond walks in. There's there's like the Secretary of Defence. I think,
Yes, who's
but
been
not
some.
the same one from the previous
Is
movies.
it not Frederick Grey?
I don't think it is Frederick Grey. I think it's a different guy.
I thought it was Frederick Grey. Okay,
Again,
I didn't pay
think-
attention.
I think Thatcher finally fired him, and then there's
Jim Fanning.
the British Jim Fanning, the British expert on antiquities.
Yes,
or whatever.
yeah, he's the expert on the Fabergé eggs and whatnot. Because he's talking about why all these are starting to show up in the market and for auction recently, when they're originally
Yes.
they were made for the Russian royal family in the early 20th century.
Yeah, he's giving us all the lore on Fabergé eggs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exposition, this movie done
Anyway.
quite well, actually, I must say.
I was just going to note that the Secretary of Defence guy, I think, looks a lot more like Bernard Lee if you're going to recast the same character, but this is the MD guy is like a different looking man.
Yes,
so
I
I'm
agree.
fine with accepting that it's a different guy.
Yeah, I agree completely. So we're being told that these Fabergé eggs are showing up on sale. Usually they're very rare, and now they're just fucking popping up all over the place, and we don't know really where they're coming from. We assume that they're fakes.
Yes. Cut to the Russian side of things with our good old friend General Gogol.
Yeah, well, we should note here, Kel, by the
He's
way,
back.
this is where it's revealed that Bond will be replacing 009, who was working on this. That's why
Yes,
he crashed through
yes.
the one in East Berlin earlier, or West Berlin.
Well, yeah, they don't really know why. The only thing they know is that he crashed through holding this Fabergé egg, which is fake, and they're like, well, I guess this is something that he got murdered for, so we should probably look into it.
Yes, absolutely.
But Nathan, it was also the property of a lady, so...
It was probably, and we,
Which, by the way...
Yeah.
Would have been a better title for this movie.
well, Kel, we're going to talk about The Property of a Lady, because that is another Ian Fleming book, and it was potentially meant to be a Timothy Dalton film if he had returned instead of Pierce
Interesting,
Brosnan making
okay.
GoldenEye.
Yes, so yeah, we cut to the Russian briefing room with General Gogol, our man on the inside of Russia.
Or Western cut liberal Soviet. Yeah.
It's very funny considering the last movie he was like a secondary antagonist, and this movie he's like not an antagonist again.
He's
I guess
he's like,
he swings both ways. He's in it for himself.
he's basically,
He's in it for Russia is what he's in it for.
yeah, he's basically an insert for Mikhail Gorbachev. Like,
Yeah, pretty
the
much,
reformist sort of open up the world, don't go to war kind of guy. And seems to be...
I will say though, the Russians have upped their game on the briefing room front. Instead of that like big empty concrete castle in the middle of nowhere, we have this like swanky rotating boardroom with like walls, and there's a big old painting of Lenin on the back
It looks
wall.
like a bloody mural of him that's chiseled out of marble or something.
Yes. Yes.
It honestly looks
yeah,
like something
so-
Spectre would have if they were communists.
Yeah, this movie goes full on Cold War again because we're talking about nuclear disarmament.
Yes, which I think is some of the strongest stuff of this film.
Yes, I agree. This movie gets political, as it were.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, and then kind of drops it for a while.
What's happening in this scene is General Gogol, he's on board with all this demilitarizing to sort of appease the rest of the world. What is it?
NATO.
What's NATO? That's it. Duh. Yeah. But there's this other general, General Orlov, who's like the power-hungry warmonger who wants to conquer Europe.
He's a true Soviet patriot.
Yeah, he says, I've got tank divisions in all of these places, and then the arrows come out, and it's just in 10 days we'll have conquered all of Europe, and nothing can stop us.
He's like, we can completely arm the Warsaw Pact region, and like the West can like best field 10 tank divisions, and like we'll just roll over them, basically, you know?
What I love about this scene, though, is Gogol, if you look at him, he's like sitting there with like just rolling his eyes, like, oh, this fucking guy again.
Yeah, this is like, oh, he tells everyone this every month, you know? At the
Yeah.
monthly meeting, you know, and everyone's like, oh god, get a grip.
Yeah.
But the like chairman of the meeting says like world socialism will be achieved through peace,
Yes.
you know, which is very Gene Roddenberry of him.
He's like Karl Marx in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, you know?
Of course, yes, naturally. We're saying this is a very leftist James Bond film, aren't we?
But yes, then we immediately cut to the reveal that for some reason Orlov is behind these fake, like, jewels, because we see him meeting, like, a jeweler guy who's like, oh, I'm making these perfect
Called
forgeries.
Lincoln.
Yeah, something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. Not an important character at
Yeah,
all.
he shows up later on when Gogol finds out about the cheap fakes, but like, yeah, he's only in this scene and in one scene later on. But he's working with Gogol to make the forgeries. And there's some reason they've got to make more, so they need to get the real one back or something.
Yes. Yeah, this is where the movie gets confusing because, I mean, we'll get to it later, but the jewels don't seem to have much to do with with Orlov's actual plan. And I never quite figured out what the jewels were. The jewels seem like a big old red herring.
He wanted to use the jewel smuggling business to smuggle in a bomb to an airbase via a circus, Kyle. It's very straightforward, actually.
Oh, right, of course. Okay, well, when you may say it like that, it makes perfect sense.
Yes, it completely. And then he was going to use a deposed Afghani prince to keep the money and run, I suppose.
Yeah, but why does he need fake jewels for this?
Because he wants to keep the value of the real jewels. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so the Bond has to go to an auction with Jim what did you say, Jim Flannery
Jim
or
Fanning,
whatever?
Kyle.
Jim
Famous
Fanning,
James Bond
yes.
character, Jim Fanning.
Of course, yes. And he takes them to this auction, and they're trying to bid on the genuine Fabergé egg because they have the fake, but the real one is up for auction.
So, Kyle, would you like
And
me
Jim
to
Fanning tells us that.
explain some of this scene to you?
Oh, please do. Yes.
So, there is an Ian Fleming novel called The Property of the Lady, right? Short story.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And this is the one part of this film that is completely ripped from that story. This is not
the auction.
The auction, yeah, because they mention a property of a lady in the end briefing, and then they mention it again in this scene. And
Yes.
they just kind of say it as a phrase out of nowhere with no real need.
Yeah, as if it's the name of the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now this is a scene.
Like in the last movie where he hands him the file that says "For Your Eyes Only" on
Yes.
it. Yeah.
This is a scene right out of the property of a lady. This is the only scene that's based on that short story. Not at all based from the Octopussy story. There is actually none of this film based on the Octopussy story apart from the backstory between Bond and Octopussy's father. That is the only part of this film that is relevant to the story this title is based on.
Interesting.
Yes, this is basically an original tale. A lot of bullshit.
I assume that's kind of the case for a lot of the movies, though, isn't it?
I'm unsure as to the frequency and the intensity of the change. I just know this one's pretty egregious.
I know some of the movies, like Moonraker, are just completely original and don't have a book basis at all. Because I don't think Moonraker's based on a book.
I think Moonraker does have some book pulls from it, actually.
Well, I mean, when the books were being written, the space race wasn't even a thing, though, was it?
Yeah, Moonraker's a book. Ian Fleming wrote it.
Okay, well, fuck me, I don't know anything.
Moonraker came out on the 5th of April 1955, Kyle.
Interesting.
It preceded
okay,
Live and Let Die, and it was followed by Diamonds Are Forever.
Okay, so the movies do them completely out of order then.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
Is the book Moonraker also just the same story as The Spy Who Loved Me book?
It's the third novel from Ian Fleming about James Bond. The plot is derived
Really?
from Fleming's screenplay that was too short for a full novel, so he added the passage of the bridge game between Bond and industrialist Hugo Drax. In the latter half of the novel, Bond is set into... Jesus Christ. Moonraker, like Fleming's previous novels, were well received by critics. Jesus Christ. Nuclear annihilation, Soviet communism.
For our next podcast, should we just read through all of the James Bond novels?
Yeah. Enter the Fleming-verse. I'm reading this and it is quite different, but not
Well, okay, yeah.
entirely indifferent. Anyway, sorry, we can fucking cut all this.
Yeah. Jim tells us that this Fabergé egg is worth no more than 250 to 300,000 pounds, which is crazy. I looked up what that is in inflation because this is 1983. In 2025 money, that's about 129 million pounds.
Boom, baby.
So, that's a lot of freaking money.
Yeah, I was going to do the inflation calculations and just decided not to bother. I've done that in previous movies where I did bother to do it. I think I've done it in Dr. No, when they were looking at seashells for Honey Rider. But goodness gracious me, they're just making up numbers here, aren't they?
Yeah.
Though maybe the historical significance would value it.
I mean, I don't think that price is generally inaccurate. I just thought the inflation is wild in terms of like what that is in today's money.
Yeah, I suppose so.
But yeah, Bond, this is where we were first introduced to technically the actual villain of the movie for some reason, Kamal Khan, the aforementioned exiled Arabic prince.
Afghan prince, yes.
Afghan prince, sorry.
Mm-hmm. And his assistant, or like
really
his colleague working for Octopussy, Magda.
Yes, well, we don't know if she works for Octopussy, yes. Yeah, but yes, Magda.
And like this is where he says property of a lady or something like that, because Jim Fanning's like, fucking watch the auction, Bond, don't be fucking looking at the women.
Yes, well, Bond kind of drums up the price of this egg up to £500,000.
Yep. And
nearly gives Jim a heart attack.
Yeah, Jim is like really panicking here because he's like, what happens, Bond, if you win this fucking thing?
Yeah, you're going to bankrupt the British government, Bond.
Yeah, like, what's Margaret Thatcher going to say when you fucking bankroll £500,000 in, But no, he's like, I frankly believe that Khan will be buying this egg. The fact that I was able to push it up proves that it doesn't look like he has much choice.
Yes, he has to buy it for whatever reason, which I don't think we ever actually figure out.
I think it's because they need it back so they can keep making fabrications. Because that's what Orlov said, like, we need to tell our man in London that we need to get it back. Bond's able to kind of suss it out. He's not just doing it for the bit, like he is doing it because of his perceived reason to, let's see, the desperation in their eyes to get this thing.
Target acquired Kamal Khan.
Target acquired Kamal Khan.
He's up to something.
In this moment, by the way, the bidders get to kind of examine the piece, and Bond switches the egg out for a fake one. Because he wants to, like, take the real one and...
Yes, the real one is now in the possession of the British government.
Yes. And they want to, like, put, like, a tracking device in it or something?
Yes, I think that's in India we get the tracking device, but yeah.
Yeah, but Bond takes the real one abroad with him, doesn't he? Because, like, M's like, be careful,
he
that's
does,
no problem with the British government.
Yeah, I was like, you're going to have to sign that out. You're going to have to sign a form to take that with you, because that's government property now.
Exactly. Which is quite a funny bit.
But yes. We track Kamal Khan to this week's tourism. Baby, it's India. We're doing India. We get lingering shots on the Taj Mahal. You know that one. It's the famous building in India.
Oh, yeah.
We get snake charmers on the streets doing the Bond theme for some reason.
Absolutely. We should note this is filmed in the city of Udaipur.
Ethan, I have to talk about the snake charmer doing the Bond theme.
Okay, please. This is VJ.
Because, yes, this is VJ. This turns out to be, this is our man on the ground.
He works for Universal Exports, Kyle.
But yeah, he does the Bond theme, and that's the signal to Bond that he's the guy, which means that, like, the Bond theme is, like, the theme of MI6. It's like the MI6 or the Universal Exports jingle in their ads.
It's like Katniss Everdeen's little whistle that she does in the Hunger Games, you know? The Mockingjay thing. You know, that's the... But yeah, everyone goes, you know, da-da-da-da-da, like you whisper it in the street corner and people that know you're part of the club, you know?
Yes. So yeah, the Bond theme is canonical within the universe of James Bond. It's a real piece of music.
Confirmed canon in this film. Remember that lady in Live and Let Die that sung Live and Let Die in the jazz bar? Like, we have a long thread in history of doing this. It's the first time it's just been done for the Bond theme, though. After VJ introduces himself, he admits that snakes wasn't a good cover. Like, he hates snakes. But I thought he was doing quite a good...
He seemed pretty good at it, though.
He did seem quite good at it.
It seems like snake charming isn't just a thing you can pretend to do.
Yeah, you can't just
it seems like
bullshit your
something
way
you
through
might be practicing.
I bet Roger Moore could have bullshit his way through this. He could have done it. James Bond could have done this.
He could have picked up the flute and be like, yeah, I can charm a snake, sure.
He would have that snake charmed, like, round someone's neck and, like, kill, like, a goon or something.
Well, as we learn, he has the Tiger Whisperer.
Yes,
so
he is.
Maybe snakes works too.
Well, we are taken to VJ's boss, the head of section, Sadruddin. And they have, like, a tuk-tuk.
Yes.
And we get taken to, like, the big schwancy hotel, and if you're in the hotel, you become the member of the casino for as long as you stay there, and, like, it's a high roller members club where this deposed Afghan prince Kamal Khan plays this dice game. I can't remember the name of it.
Yes. And he's very obviously cheating.
Yes, he seems to have weighted dice, because each player has their own set of dice. And there's this British retired major.
Yeah, I don't know what this game is, but apparently you need to roll 2 sixes to win, which seems extraordinarily rare, but everyone keeps rolling double sixes.
I don't think you need 2 sixes to win, you need the highest number. So, like, 6 is the best, you can get the best one.
Right, okay.
And getting 2 sixes is incredibly rare, and the major was like, oh, you know...
It just seems like if everyone keeps rolling double sixes, someone would check those dice, you know?
Yeah, well, the major was just like, oh, your luck is impeccable, you know, because he was like, oh, you know, double or nothing, you know, and the major kept falling for it, and then he decided to not fall for it at 100,000 rupees, and...
Yes.
Left, and then Bond says, I'll take that bet, and sat down. And they were like, do you have any collateral?
And this is where Bond does some more just tremendous spy works, because first of all, he does the classic introducing himself as James Bond, to a man he suspects of criminal intentions, right? He's like, well, I'll just use my full name because, you know, I didn't think of a cover this time.
Don't they give him a cover?
They give him a cover later when he's going into East Berlin.
Right, okay.
I didn't know that down, but right now he's just James Bond. But more importantly, he just brings out the real Fabergé egg and plants it on the table like, yeah, I have it, fucking do something about it.
Yeah, like, by this point you must have assumed that it was a fake, you know?
Yeah, Bond is just asking to be murdered at this point. Like, he's just provoking them. Maybe that's intentional, but yeah.
His death wish.
Yeah. Or, like, he's, like, trying to, like, weed them out as Bond villains. I don't know.
Well, Khan has, like, a big goon man in a turban lit around him.
Yes. Gobinda is his name. Good look for a Bond goon, I think. Look. He's got very, like...
He looks like he could...
He's big.
He looks like he could crush Bond in one hand.
He does. He looks like the kind of person that Indiana Jones would have a punch-up with.
Yeah,
but,
exactly.
you know.
Exactly, yeah. This is a rare Moore in a white tux moment. I don't think we've had Moore in a white tux ever.
Not that I can think of. You pay more attention to the fashion than I do.
Yeah, I know. It was obviously iconic with Connery, you know? He did it a number of times, but I don't think we've seen Moore do it at all until now. And I love it. I think the white tux look looks great.
But yeah, Bond, he managed to win this dice game by also cheating. So, there you go.
Yeah, well, Bond says, a player's prerogative, we get to choose the dice. Because I think he knew Khan was at it, right? Because he was like, I'm going to play with your dice.
Yeah, he sees instantly that he's cheating, yeah. Also, I think he has a chat with Magda at this point as well, at the bar.
Yes, he goes up to Magda and he's like, let's have some dinner and drinks and all that. And he's like, she's like, you're the man from the auction. This can't be a coincidence. And he's like, I assure you it's not.
But yeah, after this we cut to, what I will say is, one of many good action scenes in this movie. I think this movie has some really strong, really fun action scenes in it, and I really like this tuk-tuk chase through the streets.
Kel, we can't go to the tuk-tuk chase yet without talking about Bond splitting the winnings with Vijay and Sadruddin. And
yes, well, he just won 250,000 rupees.
Yeah, and he prefers it in cash.
He's rolling in it.
But he splits up and he says to them, keep you in curry for a few weeks, won't it? And they're both really happy about this. And I was like, does this just mean like it keeps you in good food for a while? Because you think like everyone's...
I guess that...
Like these...
Everyone in India eats curry? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like good food. It's like nice food as opposed to whatever bread that everyone else eats. Is this supposed to be social commentary on great deprivation in the subcontinent?
I don't know, Nathan. The line did stand out to me, but I wasn't sure what to make of it.
Okay, I found it confusing because the money being separated becomes relevant later on, Kyle.
It does, yes, because Khan sends Gobinda and some other goons to try and murder Bond because of the egg.
Yes, he does.
And yeah, I think this is a really fun, silly... It's got some silly moments in it, but in terms of like action stuff, it keeps going, different stuff keeps happening. Bond and Vijay are just having a blast, they're bonding.
Vijay's tuk-tuk is a company car.
It's a company car. He gets stabbed, but it goes into the money like Captain Boomerang and Suicide Squad. Remember that?
Yeah, you're right.
That was actually a clever reference to Octopussy.
That was actually a very clever cinema reference that we were too naive to get, yeah. And Bond retorts with being stabbed and surviving, saying, thank God for hard currency. Yeah. Brilliant, Bond. That's like a joke for the dads.
They jump over a camel.
They do.
They launch their tuk-tuk over a camel.
Vijay throws a tennis racket through a goon's head and says, game, set, and match.
Yeah, Vijay, he's getting in on the action on the quips.
He's like, watch out, hold on, Bond. He's like really about it. I like Vijay.
I quite like Vijay. I mean, he's not like any of these man-on-the-ground characters. He's not much of a much, but he has a good energy. Yeah. He's excited to be here.
Sadruddin kind of just disappears from the movie after this point.
Yeah, he does. It's more the Vijay group gang.
Yeah, it's all about the V gang. Yeah,
there is some incredibly dated like cool or like exotic street performance stuff.
Yeah,
in this fight scene as well. Like, there's a guy lying on a bed of spikes. There's a sword swallower.
A guy walking over hot coals.
Yes,
and Bond just decides to take the sword out of the sword swallower's mouth and have a fight with one of the goons. Throw another one over some hot coals, and then flip a guy onto the bed of nails.
Yeah, it's dated, but there is some funny stuff. Like, he flips the guy onto the bed of nails, and the guy who was lying on the bed of nails is like, hey, get off my bed.
Yeah, exactly, right? In perfect local dialect, might I add, with subtitles, yeah.
Yes.
And there's like a false wall that they drive through, and it's replaced with a real wall. And then, like, what does Bond say? Thank God for advertising or something?
Yeah, he says, thanks God for good advertisement or something like that. It really pays to advertise, that's it.
And the goons are just now lost and they have nowhere to find Bond and Vijay. But now we're at the local Q branch in India.
Yes, as per usual, Q is complaining about being shipped off to India.
Yeah, Q is never happy. Why can't they just give Q like a regional office in like Surrey?
There's a great exchange where he's like, I need you to fix up my suit, Q. I got stabbed. And Q says, oh, they missed you. That's a pity.
Yeah. There's lots of local Indian-related gadgets here. Yeah, like something that looks like a fake snake.
We have to go through our... It's like a coiled rope. It looks like it's like a coiled rope.
Which I vaguely am aware of as some sort of Indian stereotype.
I don't know, maybe.
Not about the people, but about the culture. Like, I'm familiar with this as being like a thing. I think this is meant to be a snake.
I am not. Okay.
Well,
But yeah,
so
it shoots up like a pole that a guy can stand on to like get up to high places, I guess.
Yep. Octopus uses it later on in the film.
Well, no, she just has a pole that the girls lift
Oh,
up.
do they?
It's not like an extendable
okay.
pole
I
thing.
thought it
yeah.
was extended out. Right.
Well, it can't be this one because Hugh's having problems keeping it up.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He is having trouble keeping it up. Q, and then a door opens, but like, really violently, and crushes like a mannequin. And Bond,
It's like a door with spikes on it.
yeah, it is a door with spikes on it. And Bond says, "Smashing Q."
It's like Q's building like a dungeon to keep ancient treasure in.
It's to trap Bond.
It's the trap one. Yes, but it's smashing. But then the third one is, of course, just a very fancy camera, and Bond acts like he's a 14-year-old boy.
Yeah, he just starts aggressively zooming into the chest of the female workers in the office. Yeah.
And she doesn't seem to mind,
It's like,
I guess, which is good for her.
The best
but...
liquid crystal TV technology, Kyle. Super HD.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so she's perfectly fine with it, a wee bit of workplace harassment. But Kyle, run us down the gadgets of this film that Hugh graces Bond with.
Okay, so the main one is he has a pen, which if you twist the top of it, it becomes like an acidic acid that melts any metal. So that's pretty good. The other end of the pen is a listening device for a tiny little tracker / listening device that they plant inside the Fabergé egg.
Yes, you're right.
It seems like I would make those two different pens, but they are the same pen. One side is acid, the other side is a listening device.
But the Fabergé egg has like a tracker in it that's also a listening device. That's the main takeaway. And he has a watch.
Yeah, it's like a tiny little microchip that Q puts into it with tweezers.
And yeah,
he
has a tracker watch.
This is his watch.
Yeah. Bond then returns to his hotel.
Yeah, he does say that the price of eggs is going up. So.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, right. A very, very topical, Kyle.
Topical.
Very 2025 of
yes.
you.
Look, Nathan, it's extortionate. Okay, they got to control these grocery prices.
Listen. I'm very sympathetic to you and your nationalistic cause, right?
Just because some of us aren't having a trade war right now. Okay?
I hope the price of your bread comes down, buddy. Roger Moore sympathises with you.
He does. He knows what I'm going through.
He does. He was James Bond voted MAGA in 1983. He voted for Reagan. Kyle, Bond is going to sleep with Magda because she's just in his hotel room, and that's what happens next.
Oh yeah, we don't even. They're at dinner, and then we cut to them naked in bed. There's no like in between. You know what happens?
Yeah, and he sees a tattoo on her back of a little black and blue and gold octopus, and she says, "That's my little Octopussy."
Yes, that's my little Octopussy.
And I cried.
It's such an awful thing to say. Like just saying the words. It's like why did anyone think this was a good idea to name a character or a movie?
It's such a bad line, and we haven't even met Octopussy yet.
No, at this point we do not know that Octopussy is a person. Once you understand why she's called Octopussy, it's worse. But
yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think it's very English, actually.
Right now, Octopussy
like, I can believe
that
this is a thing Ian Fleming had no idea about.
Oh, I mean, like, this is post-pussy galore, right? So they know what it means.
Not in the book. Well, no. I need to look when Octopussy fell in the book timeline, you know? This woman has robbed Bond. She steals the Fabergé egg and then, like, Rapunzel's herself out off the balcony.
Yes. Well, Bond lets her steal the egg because he sees it plain well in the mirror when she's trying to hide it, but he wants her to take it because of the tracking device.
But the second he leaves the room to go and pursue her, he gets knocked out by Gobinda.
Yeah, he gets bonked in the back of the head. We should have been keeping track because I feel like this happens so often that Bond just gets immediately knocked out by a goon.
Yeah. Bond isn't very good against muscle types.
Bond doesn't have very good situational awareness. He cannot tell when people are standing right behind him.
Very true. Bond has no sixth sense.
No, he really doesn't. So yeah, Bond, he gets taken to a castle.
Which is like an isolated castle staffed and manned by only women.
No, he gets taken to Khan's castle.
Oh, I see
Khan
the
goes to
different
visit
castle. Octopussy
on her island.
Yes, he does, you're right.
And for some reason, we don't reveal Octopussy's face, even though it's not a reveal, because we don't know who it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, they keep it like a mystery who she is for some reason.
But Bond gets invited to dinner with Khan and Magda, and there's a boiled sheep's head.
Stuffed sheep's head, yes.
So it's very Temple of Doom.
It's extremely Temple of Doom. It's very chilled monkey brains. Yeah.
I mean, you both mentioned this in our notes.
I mean, it's Temple of Doom would have been after this, right? Or
yeah, it would have been after this.
Temple of Doom's like 87?
Yeah,
Something
I think
like
so.
that?
No, Last Crusade's 89. Oh, Temple of Doom, maybe round about this.
Okay.
No, when was... Because Raiders is like 83, I think.
Okay.
It'd be after this.
Maybe like 85.
It's after
Yeah.
this.
It's close. It's close, but it is a very similar scene.
Yeah, it's a very similar scene.
The can he's into, he just stuffs that eyeball right in his face.
Temple of Doom came out in 1984, Kyle.
Okay, so it was in production when this movie came out. Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying that there's some crossover between Indiana Jones and James Bond, but James Bond did play Indiana Jones' dad, so, you know, it's not as if there's no connections there.
In the Temple of Doom, the cold open of that movie is literally ripped from a James Bond film. He's in the white tuxedo with the red rose and spinning things around tables, and it's like Japanese yakuzas, and there's a big song and dance number with sequence dresses and anything goes and all that. And it's a Bond film at the start of Temple of Doom.
Oh man, a Bond movie in the 30s would be pretty cool though. Kind of moving, because everyone always wants like a period piece in the 60s. Go back further, why not?
Yeah. Let's see like the birth of the 00 branch.
Yeah, because that went so well for the Kingsman franchise.
let's not have a post-credit scene with Adolf Hitler.
No. A post-credit scene where Adolf Hitler and Joseph Stalin are revealed to be working together.
They're both wearing Spectre rings.
Yeah. We need to speed this up. We've got so much of this movie left.
Listen, they have dinner and then Bond says, "Hey, do you want to come in or can I come into your room, Magda, for a nightcap?" And Gobinda will not allow this. So Bond is then taken to his room by Gobinda and then asks Gobinda if he would like to come in for a nightcap. It's so wacky. Whoa. It's a funny bit. But Bond escapes his room with the acid pen. You know, he gets out of those bars. Yeah, he has a window, he just has bars. So. Yeah. Orlov has arrived in India, Kyle.
Yes, General Orlov is here.
He's going
Remember
to
Orlov? He was originally supposed to be the main villain of this movie, but actually it's Khan for some reason.
It's just, honestly, my biggest, even though I like VJ and stuff, I think this movie really feels like it's two separate films.
Yeah, I think my main problem with this movie is that first Orlov is the more interesting villain, but he has much less to do in the movie.
Absolutely.
Whereas Khan is just like an evil businessman, with very unclear motivations.
I would have thought his deposed Afghan prince nature would have been more relevant to the story.
Yeah, it's really not. He's just a businessman. Anyway, Bond is escaping. He's looking around. He's spying on the meetings with his listening device, which is for some reason interfered with by a hairdryer. I don't know why. It's
too loud and it's picking it up because really all his hearing device is apparently a cup on a string through a wall, not actually a radio broadcast.
I guess that. I suppose so. Yeah, it's just that's why Bond can't get too far away from it because the pen is always attached.
Yeah.
I was wondering why he had the pen, because they kidnapped him in his pyjamas, but I guess they just took all of his luggage with him to their castle.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, they did. Because they care about... Because Bond gets a tuxedo and all that. Yeah, they care about Bond. It's a civilised kidnapping.
I suppose so, yeah.
The General destroys one of the eggs, Kyle.
He destroys the fake one and says, well, we won't be needing this anymore, or something like that.
But here's the thing. Khan sees the listening device on the floor from it. I thought Q put that in the real one.
Yeah, you're right, he did. So did Orlov smash the real egg?
Yeah, he's like, we won't be needing this anymore. So, like, what, they don't need to make anymore? They've got enough fakes for the job they want to do? Is it just to say, like, he doesn't care about money after all? Whoa!
Yeah, you're right. I don't understand, actually. I thought it was the fake one in my brain. It's like, well, yeah. But no, if it's the real one, then yeah, what?
In my mind, I have noted, not in my mind, in my notes, I have noted down that at points I'm struggling to follow what the hell's going on in this film, and this is one of them, because I kind of was like, why destroy the real one? In case it's really to say, because he's like a true Soviet comrade, he doesn't care about money, and he doesn't really care about the jewels, you know, he's not doing this for the jewels, he's doing this for something else, something mysterious later to be revealed, and Khan's just caring about the money.
I guess that has to be it, yeah.
Yeah.
That, like, it's not really about money, there's more going on here.
Well, this is where we get the news that the Englishman has escaped, Kyle.
Yeah, this is where it all goes. It goes a bit most dangerous game for a few minutes.
Yeah, well, Bond sneaks out in a body bag because he finds a room full of meat-hooked people. And when he's being about to be dumped in the pit where there's bones everywhere because tigers have been eating the dead bodies, he kind of lies up in the flat back and goes,
and does a Dracula laugh, yeah.
And the two guys just like scream and run away, and then Bond proceeds to get out of the body bag somehow and runs down into the tiger pit and sees the tiger.
Well, he runs into the jungle.
Yeah, but I thought he ran down to where all the dead body bits were.
This scene is very confusing because, like, for some reason now, Khan has like an army of goons, and they've combed the jungle looking for Bond. Like it's he's a manhunt.
They have elephants and cans and safari.
It's literally the most dangerous game. Yeah, they're hunting man.
Well,
but Bond, we just have like a whirlwind tour of animals in the jungle because he runs past a spider, he runs into a tiger pit, there's a snake that goes over his leg, he gets a leech attached to his chest, he has to escape from a crocodile.
And Bond sees the tiger and tells the tiger to sit, and it listens to him?
Yeah, it just listens. I was like, what? Bond, are you a professional tiger tamer?
Yeah, apparently so. He doesn't need like a chair and a whip, you know? It's how suave he is, you know? It's because any pussy will listen to James Bond, Kyle.
Oh, God.
You know?
Oh, no.
That's the commentary in 1983,
no,
Kyle.
I know what you mean. Yes, no. No, I see. It all makes perfect sense now. Yeah, Bond is able to escape the most dangerous game by swimming out to like a tourist spot, and by God, I was so bracing for a J.W. Pepper cameo here. You have no idea.
I'd have loved it.
I'd have loved it.
But it's just a bunch of Americans.
Yeah, it's a bunch of Americans. Are you with our tour? No, I took the economy tour.
Yeah. What is that to say? Like, because he was like
Good
riding
Bond.
with elephants and stuff. But then also, like, surely there should be more questions, like, how did you get here? You know? But no.
Who are all those people on the shoreline with guns looking for you?
Yeah. Why are they not currently killing all of us to get you, you know?
But yeah, Bond makes it back to Cuba and she gets very sensually told off by VJ.
Yeah, VJ really enjoys drying off Bond. Yeah.
But they're talking about Octopussy because I don't know, I guess they identify Octopussy, the tattoo, as like the symbol of like a smuggling ring.
Yes, because it's on flags, ship flags and all that, and people have tattoos. But then also it's the name of a fucking circus.
Well, I think they own the circus. I don't think it's the name of the circus.
Well, it's all over the fucking branding of the circus.
Yeah, it's like Octopussy is like the shell company for a bunch of different things.
Yeah, you would have thought that they would have maybe.
But yes,
it's quite Spectre-ish in a weird way.
Yeah, well, it's kind of like Hydra. Yeah.
Yeah, well, some may say tentacle creatures. Yeah.
But yeah, Q is like, oh yeah, they're run on this island that's only populated by women, and men aren't allowed. And Bond says, sexual discrimination. I'll definitely have to pay a visit.
Because Bond's a proper equality rights activist.
Of course, yes. So yeah, he sneaks onto this island in a little one-man crocodile submarine.
In a little one-man crocodile submarine. Yes, he does, Kyle, and it's brilliant. Because he opens like the mouth of the crocodile and it's just Roger Moore lying down inside it. And he's like, oh, and he closes it again. And whilst this is happening, Q and VJ are taking watch, being like covered fishermen across from the island, just watching out for Bond, and they're like, oh, an island occupied by all women, you won't see Bond until dawn, probably.
I think that's generous. I don't think you're going to see Bond for weeks.
Well, when Bond...
You're going to do a lot of fishing while you're waiting for Bond.
When Bond breaks into Octopussy's bedroom, and he's walking around with like the fishing vest and stuff on, and he's got like a hand in his pocket while he's holding his Walther PPK. He looks like such a granddad.
Yeah, he looks so grandpa. Yeah, it's exactly like what my grandpa would wear to go for a walk around the park.
To go in his crocodile submarine, Kyle, you mean?
Yeah. But yeah, Octopussy sees him on the camera. She knows he's coming, and we get the reveal that Octopussy, dun dun dun, is a pretty lady.
Is a lady of more age akin to James Bond.
Yeah, I looked up. She's about 37, so not quite, but yeah.
She's 12 years younger than James Bond.
She's young enough that Bond murdered her dad, so...
Yes, well, Bond could have, been murdering an elder person. See, this is where we find out that apparently she was always hoping to run to Bond one day. This is a complete coincidence, though, because this wasn't intended for him. And
Yeah, this has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Her dad was like, went rogue and he worked for the British government and like was committing fraud or something, and then Bond like gave him 24 hours to get his affairs in order, and then like he refused to comply, so Bond killed him. And this is his daughter, and she was named Octopussy because her dad was a famous expert on octopi.
Yeah. That just makes it worse, doesn't it? That Octopussy was a nickname by her dad.
Yeah, but so
yeah, and unfortunately, this character has no other name. She's only ever called Octopussy.
And as I mentioned earlier on, this is the only part of this film that's related to the story of the book of the same name. So this is why you start getting all the story that doesn't matter to the flow of the film at all, but they're just including it anyway because that's from the book. Whoa!
Oh, it's a sweet literary reference for all the Fleming
for all the
fans
Flem
out
heads
there.
out there.
Oh, the Flem heads.
For all you Flem heads out there. And I just think like that almost feels like it could have been a whole other Bond movie in itself. Why aren't we doing that?
Well, the weirdest thing about this movie is that Octopussy has very little to do with the actual plot of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know why she is the main character of this film.
Because she has like a female fortress and is in charge of Khan for some reason, because he needs a boss apparently.
Yeah, I don't know why Octopussy isn't the villain of the movie. Like, all of this is set up like she should be the villain, right?
Kyle, it's the 80s, you can't have a woman be the main villain of the piece.
There was a woman who's the main villain in freaking From Russia with Love.
No,
Kleb.
Kleb was a henchman working for number one, Kyle. You've got it all wrong.
Oh, sure, okay.
You got it all
Fine.
wrong, right? You can't live.
Anyway, can we talk about how like Octopussy has her private security force and they're dressed like Thing 1 and Thing 2 from Cat
That's
in the Hat?
amazing. I said they were dressed like the Red Rangers, but that's brilliant.
No, because they have like the red onesies with a little symbol on their
No,
chest.
you're so correct. I hadn't even considered that.
They look very weird. They look very out of place in this movie. It's like something out of like a kid's story that they're wearing, but like they're the security of the island, I guess.
Yeah, they are private security for Octopussy on this island.
To be fair, it's better than what some of her other goons
They're
wear, I
dressed like,
suppose. But yeah.
in bikinis with veils over their face, yeah.
Like sexy ninjas,
Well,
yeah.
Kyle, during this interaction, Khan has hired men to kill Bond because
Oh, my favourite henchman ever,
because
yes.
Octopussy has said to Khan that you can't hurt Bond, so he hires men to do it anyway, and they go and they kill VJ.
Yes, he says, you have a bad habit of surviving, Mr. Bond. Well, you know what they say about the fittest.
Right. Very good. And VJ dies from Yo-Yo Buzzsaw.
Khan hires a man whose whole thing is that he stands on the top of a ledge and swings a buzzsaw down at you. It's so stupid.
So stupid, right?
It's such a specific gimmick to go for, you know, like it reminds me of the guy with the coffin full of knives in the last movie. Or I think that was Moonraker. Where, like, you have to engineer a situation where you're standing on a balcony above your target, but, like, not quite, just in front, so that you can swing this buzzsaw down to kill them.
Absolutely.
It's so specific.
Well, listen, it works against VJ, doesn't it?
Yes, per VJ. R.I.P. He gets buzzsawed.
He gets buzzsawed. R.I.P. VJ.
I will say, VJ in this moment doing some terrible spying because he hears a noise and you're like, Q, is that you? Like, just little more suspicion there, VJ,
He's
come
too
on.
pure for this line of work.
Yeah, much like Luigi.
Well,
yeah.
Kyle, Bond discovers a flyer that says that this is all part of Octopussy's circus and it's going to next be performing in Karl Marxstad, which is where Orlov said he was going to after he left India.
Yes. So things are converging somehow.
Yes, things are converging. Somehow convergences are happening.
But unfortunately, Octopussy did install a balcony above her bed.
Yes,
so,
because-
you know, that's on
Because
her,
she's
really.
sleeping with Bond because Bond runs at her in his granddad outfit.
Oh, yeah, and he starts smitching her and she says no, and then Bond keeps going and it's fine. And it's like, oh
and
god,
then
this is
they
the
both get
80s.
thrown. Bond and the Yo-Yo assassin both get thrown off the balcony into a crocodile river, and we think he's dead. But really,
Yes.
he got into his crocodile submarine and headed back to where VJ and Q were based. And we find out about the death
Yes.
of VJ, and apparently Q found VJ still alive, and he said it was Khan's men that done this.
Yeah, I don't know how he was still able to talk considering that buzzsaw, but
well,
sure.
He said it was Khan's men and that they were off to Karl Marx's dad or something.
Yeah.
So Bond from that flyer and from
going
that
to Berlin.
is going to East Berlin, baby.
And
We
yeah.
need to land in West Berlin, actually.
This is very 80s topical because we're midst of Berlin. There's the Berlin Wall. We're East Berlin and West Berlin.
We're going
all
to
this
Checkpoint
stuff.
Charlie, Kyle.
Yes, this is where we get a new Bond identity. I noted it down as I like to. So he never uses this identity. This is just his identity to cross the border. He is Charles Mortimer, manufacturing representative from Leeds.
Brilliant.
So there you go.
Thank you.
Mortimer, Charles Mortimer.
Brilliant. So M's in the car giving him this briefing, then gets out right before we get to the border. He's like, "Oh, I can't go over there," you know.
Yeah, well,
and he.
A little too important to be spending time.
And then there's like a German driver they have that's like, he'll get you there, and he turns around and he's like, "Yeah, sure thing, yeah, I'll get you there."
Yeah, that's weird. It's like a cameo or something. I have no idea. Like there's like a weird shot of the driver.
Yeah, he's like happy to be included or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that taxi driver from Live and Let Die.
It's like it.
Except he was more relevant to the plot.
Yeah, no, this guy is. You would imagine this is like the bit, like the SNL skits where they insert themselves into the movie. It's like that. It's like that would be the shot of like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. General Gogol at this point has discovered that General Orff has been planting fakes in the National Art Gallery.
Yes, he's on the hunt too. So that's important to keep in the back.
Gogol is now on the lookout for Orlov because he knows he's at it. And then when we're at this some sort of train haulage yard in
yeah, well, Bond attends the circus,
right, okay,
and we do some circus stuff. I don't think anything important happens there.
You see everyone enjoying the circus. We've gone from Indian tourism to East German circus tourism. It's very specific.
But I do comment, I do comment that circuses, God, they look boring. I've never been to a circus, but it's like, oh my goodness, a man got launched in a cannon and landed in a net, and everyone cheered. I know lots of people have been to a circus. I've never been myself. You know what? There's going to be some conservative social philosophy that says it's about getting out of the house and spending time with your family and bonding with one another over shared experience, and it's innocent. And, in the days pre 5G, this is what you done. You couldn't play Marvel Rivals, so you went to the circus. I don't know, man. Circuses, they look like a big con to me.
But they sell out here still,
I suppose
never been,
so.
But
But yeah, so Bond kind of sneaks his way into like the train because the circus moves around on a train. They have their own private train, which I guess is a thing in Dumbo. So I guess circuses just have trains.
And Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, that's where Bond gets his hat and his fear of snakes.
Yeah, apparently circus trains are a thing.
It's a well-known thing. Yeah, it's because flights back in the olden days weren't good for hauling animals and mass and stuff like that. Trains just easy, if you're staying in one landmass.
I suppose so. Yeah, but yeah, Bond he sneaks in and he uncovers that, okay, how to explain this? So, the original plan, Octopussy's scheme here, because Octopussy is a smuggler of jewels that they're working with, is that they plant the jewels inside of the big comical cannon and then they sort of weld it in place so that like no one can check that the jewels are there.
You get around taxes and smuggle it to the
get around taxes, it's a smuggling operation, you're sure, yes.
It's fairly small fry for a Bond story.
Well, yes, but then they pull into a tunnel and there is a second cart, and in the second car with a second cannon, they're also welding into place a nuclear bomb into the cannon.
Because this circus is about to move to West Berlin to a US Air Force base.
Yes. They just finished playing a Russian military base and then they're going to play a Western military base. This circus has some insanely good government clearance. My goodness.
Yeah, well, so later on in the film when Bond gets outside the US Air Force base, they're like, where's your circus pass? So clearly, if you're in the circus, you can just access any sensitive US military area. And
any air bases that you want.
Yeah, if you're part of the circus,
because
we
do see in the first circus scene that most of the audience in the first circus scene is Russian military dudes. Because one of them is sit down, Bond, I can't see the circus.
I'm trying to watch the circus, yeah. Uh-huh. Come on, what's his name? Montgomery? Montague? What's his name? Charles Mortimer, sit down. Worry about your construction needs from Leeds later on.
In the scene where we find all this out, Bond does murder one of the knife throwers.
Yes, he does.
If one of the knife thrower men.
One of the knife thrower men, I agree.
And this is where he first meets General Orlov, and he says to General Orlov, I am British Secret Service. Which, come on, Bond, don't fucking say that. Come on, you amateur. And yes, so Orlov's plan with this bomb is he's going to detonate it in the US base and make it look like it was an accident by the Yanks to sort of...
because if a bomb went off from a missile, the tracking system would notice it came from the Russians. If it explodes on the ground without setting off a detection device, it means that it was a misfire or accident by the West, and then Europe would demand nuclear disarmament because they don't want their own nukes going off on land, especially their allies' nukes going off on their own land, and then that would mean that Russia could just roll over the West because they would have no nukes in Europe anymore.
Yes. This is Orlov's plan. What Khan gets out of this, I do not know.
Money. He's just a capitalist.
Money? Yeah, I guess it's money. He gets the jewels.
Because there's not... The Fabergé eggs have kind of taken a backseat, and now there's a thing called the Romanov Star, which is particularly important.
Yeah, there's the Romanov Star,
which is some famous Russian jewel I'm unfamiliar with. I don't even know if it's real, but maybe it is. Let's say it is.
There's the Romanov Star, and then just like a big capsule full
pirate
of other
treasure from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, pirate treasure, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
But there is some pretty cool train action that happens now. Well, first of all, Bond tries to escape and he gets into Orlov's car.
Yes, because the jewels are now in Orlov's car for some reason, but not in Khan's car.
Yes, Bond doesn't know that, actually. He doesn't realise they're in the car. They find that out later. Why are the jewels not in
Khan's car? Is he just getting all the money from the smuggling operation?
Yeah, this is why I say Khan's place in this movie is incomprehensible. I don't know what he wants.
Yeah, exactly, because, he's still here because the Russian military operative working with Orlov explains to how to how to arm the bomb, and you need to be 20 miles away by the time it goes off for your own well-being, So they're still around. Why aren't they taking the jewels, in payment for helping? And then they
This would all make so much more sense if there was a line where it's like, oh, Khan is a communist, right? Where it's like, oh, I want Russia to take over because I'll rise to power in the Soviet Empire or whatever, right? If that was his motivation...
I guess the Mujahideen were fighting Soviets in the 80s in Afghanistan, and if he was a deposed prince, maybe they deposed him. Maybe you need to know a lot about Middle Eastern politics to get this.
Maybe. They do not explain that in the movie. They don't.
This is me being very charitable without the film actually doing any of the work.
I think the whole prince thing only comes up once because I don't even remember that line. I'm just taking your word for it.
His full name is Prince. Yeah.
But yeah, so Bond pops the tires at Orlov's car, but then he drives it perfectly onto the rails, which is quite a good bit.
He's taking his flat tire disadvantage into a train track advantage. And in my notes here is, didn't Top Gear do this?
Probably sounds like a thing Top Gear would do. But yeah, he catches up to the train. There's some great train action with him jumping around the train. He keeps kind of jumping in and out of the train to escape people and running back and forth across the train.
His foot's being dragged along the ground of the train tracks.
Also, the whole time he's wearing this silly knife thrower's outfit with this big red puffy shirt and vest.
A flared red shirt with a leather waistcoat on. Yeah.
Yes.
And pirate trousers.
It's a very strange look. But yeah, I just think the stunt work on the train sequence is good. I think, as I say, there's some really good action scenes in this movie.
Oh, yeah, I think there are as well. I think the train stuff's actually very good. And then, as you're going through, the cart, you see, all the circus performers, eating lunch. And Mag is also there. Yeah.
Octopussy's getting a massage in the front train.
She's completely just lost all...
Yeah, Octopussy's here. Yeah, just for some reason. I don't know why she's got a personal involvement in any of this other than it's her circus.
Her name on the circus.
But she doesn't need to be here.
But when Bond jumps onto the train, it's because a train's coming the opposite direction and wrecks Orlov's car and throws it into the river. And then Gogol discovers the wreckage of the car and looks in the boot and finds all the jewels. And this is the moment where Gogol's I got the son of a bitch, we got him.
Yeah, well, at some point, Orlov sees the train going past and tries to run them, and then Gogol's just fucking gun that guy down.
Gogol's men shoot Orlov in the back.
Yes.
Very brutal.
You know what, even though these are not super well-developed characters, I actually really like the scene between Gogol and Orlov here. it just, there's something very like classic cinema about it.
He's
I don't
like
know.
maybe like a traitor today, but tomorrow will be like a hero of the Soviet Union.
Yeah, because Gokul looks down to him and is like, you're just no better than a
you're
petty
Colin Firth, he
thief.
says, yeah.
He's like, maybe so, but tomorrow I'll be a hero of the Soviet Empire. And then he dies. It's like, damn, why are you the
F.
villain,
Orlov.
man?
Yeah. Now, we
F.
should be saying,
Orlov.
whilst this hard, gritty bit of Soviet commentary's happening here, James Bond is currently dressed in a gorilla suit hiding from some circus performers. And in my notes here, I have, you could call this, guerrilla warfare Bond, eh? Come on.
Oh, very good. That's a
Come
Nathan fact
on.
right there, yeah.
That's totally something James Bond would say, though, right? We call it guerrilla warfare.
Well, there's a part where they're setting the timer on the bomb, and he says, well, it's currently 11:35, and Govinda checks his watch, and then impulsively Bond also checks his watch, even though he's pretending to be a statue.
Yeah, it's very funny, actually. Yeah, I didn't note it down, but I did notice it when I was watching it. Yeah. So this is all happening in tandem with some gritty Soviet general stuff.
Yeah.
It's just the duality of a film,
Yeah. Well, that's the fun of a Bond movie, though, isn't it?
And then this, we're getting more Last Crusade train running atop stuff here, And this is...
Yeah, eventually Bond gets knocked off the train by one of the knife guys.
Yep.
And, because he killed one of the knife guys already, there's two.
Because they notice that Bond's in the suit, so they pick up
manages
the sword and they go to stab the gorilla suit, and then as he stabs it, it collapses because Bond's now climbing through a hatch in the roof.
But yeah, so Bond, he manages to get the upper hand on the knife guy. He manages to kill him for 009. 009, Bonzo the Clown is avenged.
Yeah, he's saying that's for 009.
So
yeah,
that's good.
This is the real revenge story we've been looking for this whole film.
So yeah, and right here is where Bond totally loses the plot in terms of his spy credentials, because he fucks this up so badly.
Yeah, he falls off the train.
Because he's already fallen off the train, right? Because he got knocked off and he killed the knife guy in a cabin in the woods.
So he did, you're correct, yeah.
Yeah. So now the stakes are there's an active nuke on a train on the way to a US air base. So Bond, he's trying to hitchhike along the roads, and teenagers fuck with him.
Yeah, I think that's awful because that's clearly like an elderly gentleman. Like, why are you doing this to an elderly gentleman?
I mean, to be fair, also
children?
there was no space for him in that car. But yeah, they're just being mean, just teenagers. Yeah. He gets picked up by, and you correctly identified this as German J.W. Pepper and his wife.
Yeah, German J.W.
And their little
Pepper and his
Volkswagen
wife.
Beetle.
And they're offering him beer and sausages. Bond's very politely saying, no, I'm okay, I don't need your beer and sausages.
Yeah, in the meantime, we get shots of the always so generous depictions of Americans in these movies, watching the circus and laughing, and one of them is like, oh, I'm sure the general will get a big blast out of this.
Yeah.
Very good. Because it's a bomb, yeah.
Well, this is where Bond also, he tries to get a woman out of
Yes.
a payphone by stealing her car.
So, okay, at this point, Bond gets dropped off in this nice little German village where his next plan is he needs to phone M or someone, because he's the only one who currently knows about this nuke device. But Nathan, there's this horrible woman that barges into the phone booth before him.
Yes, and she refuses to move. She's like, I got to make my phone call to my family.
She's calling her mum or something, yeah.
Yeah, because if you had an urgent phone call to make back then, you had to go out in public and put a what was it? What was the currency of West Germany in that time? The Reichmark?
God, I don't know.
Yeah, wasn't the euro. That's for sure. Oh, who knows? It was the marks or something.
So instead of kicking this woman out of the phone booth or just waiting, which she wouldn't have been there forever, he decides instead
Kyle, there's
to
a nuke.
steal her car.
Kyle, as he says to the man guarding the US military base, damn it, man, it's urgent.
Well, okay, yes, but as we see, at least based on the counter, it takes him half an hour to get to the military base of driving. If we're counting the timer.
Yeah.
He's being, because, okay, yeah, he steals this woman's car, and there's two cops there just waiting for this to happen. They've been sitting there all day waiting for someone to commit a crime.
And boy, did they hit the jackpot.
Yeah, German police, they're sat there, but yeah, they immediately start. So Bond is now being chased by the German police, who have nothing to do with any of this scheme. This is just police doing their job.
Yeah, but God, they now get to trespass on a US military base, they get to go to the circus, they get to witness a nuke being disarmed. This is the story you tell for the rest of your career, right?
Yeah, and then it turns out he was a goddamn spy, so there's nothing I could do about it.
Yeah, I go, yeah, oh, exactly. This is like in 20 years ago, yeah, so I helped, they tell like their kids, they're trying to be cool. I helped defuse a nuclear missile once. It almost destroyed all of West Berlin, and I was there to save the day. And
Yeah, so anyway,
no, we read about this in
Bond.
the newspaper, Grandad. There was a British Secret Service agent.
Bond, with none of this patience, he barges onto the US base being chased. He passes by Khan and Gobinda in their car, and they're like, was that James Bond?
Yeah, and they're like, just let him go, because like we'll deal with two issues at once. He won't have time to defuse the bomb, and Bond will die.
Yeah, so he pulls up, and he's still wearing like this knife throwing outfit. So yeah, the guy's like, "Oh, you need your clown pass you need your circus pass to come in."
Yes. Uh-huh.
But then yeah, he drives on. He manages to lose everyone in the crowd by diving into the clown car.
Yeah, and at this point, by the way, the whole base is on alert because a man in a red shirt and a leather waistcoat has breached the perimeter, and he's heading for the base.
The show
commander.
must go on, though. They haven't stopped the circus.
No, they haven't stopped the circus, but Bond needs to change disguise fast.
Yes, okay, yeah, he has minutes left to disarm this nuke, but he does take the time to not only put on a clown suit, but do the full clown face paint.
Is clown face problematic now, Kyle?
I don't think it's problematic. I think it takes like at least 10 minutes though to do that. You can't just like throw that on.
Yeah, oh, there's a template. This was an unseen Q gadget.
You gave now listen, 007, just in case that if you spray this on your face, it will immediately paint you like a clown.
It's like Flint Lockwood spray on shoes from Cloud with a Chance of Meatballs. Or
so James Bond is just forever painted like a clown now.
Yeah. Or it's like Homer Simpson's makeup shotgun.
Right, okay.
Where he shoots Marge in the face and she looks like where she says "Homie, you have it set to whore." Yeah.
Yeah, this is all of this is just some iconic Bond terrible spy at this point, right?
Yeah.
Like Bond needs like a badge or something that you can flash and say like, "Look, I'm an MI6 agent. Let me onto this military
to be fair,
base."
he had completely changed out of everything, you know.
I guess
he left it in the gorilla suit.
Well, he probably shouldn't have done that, you know. And again, if he just waited for that woman to be on the phone, he probably could have called the airbase long before he actually got there by car, and they could have started all of this.
Well, Bond runs up to the general and says, "General, there's a bomb in that cannon," and like a really deadpan look, dressed as a fucking clown. And the general responds with, "Sure, where else is a bomb gonna be?"
Well, yes, like the whole time Bond is trying to get to the nuke and everyone's like, "Oh, this is just a part of the clown show. Oh, he's being a silly clown."
Yeah, and then Bond's like, "I'm deadly serious, I'm a British agent." And I'm like, "Bond, you're making things difficult for yourself. You're fucking dressed as a clown right now. Why the hell would anyone believe you?" And then, like, the police grab someone that looks just like his clown outfit, but isn't.
Yes. They start a riot between the police and the carnies. Yeah. The carnies all start fighting the military.
There's some class warfare going on here.
Yes. And again, everyone in the audience is just like, "Haha, this is amazing. This is great stuff."
This is some slapstick gold here. And then Bond is speaking to Octopussy, who's standing next to the general.
She sat next to the general.
So tell them this is real. And then he has the Romanov star with him. He's like, "I can prove to you, Octopussy, that you've been scammed. Feel this. It's not real."
Uh-huh.
And it's a fake Romanov star because it was in Orlov's car originally.
Yeah. So Bonnie tries to take an axe to open up the thing with the bomb, but he gets captured, but Octopussy shoots the lock off. Don't shoot next to the fucking nuclear bomb, Octopussy. Jesus Christ.
Well, the general somehow is like, "No, let him go, let him try and defuse it, because we don't know, we won't know any better." And Kyle, this is the quickest bomb defusal moment I've ever seen in a film.
Oh yeah, you just twist the thing back and then it's diffused.
I'm pretty sure in Goldfinger it took longer than this.
Yeah, in Goldfinger there was the whole thing where you have to snip the wire, and then the other guy came in and snipped it for him because Bond doesn't know how to defuse a bomb. I guess, like, he did watch the guy activate it, so I guess you just do the opposite to deactivate it.
And in The Spy Who Loved Me, they're removing missiles, payloads from missiles and stuff. And you can't touch the metal, the metal binding and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Bombs are just whatever the plot needs them to be, really.
Look, Nathan, I don't know shit about bombs. Maybe this is how it works.
It's a literary device, Kel.
It's a literary device, yes. You remember when, who was the famous director, the thing with the bomb, tension, you put a bomb in the room and you don't tell the audience that it's there or whatever.
Oh, yeah. I'm actually panning on who that is, but I'm familiar with it, yeah. And it's about creating tension in a scene, Kyle.
Is it Martin Scorsese who said that? It was one of those, older director than that. The guy who directed Psycho, I think it was that guy.
Oh, Kubrick?
Yeah, it might have been Kubrick.
Yeah. Stanley Kubrick apparently maybe said it, according to Kyle. But that's just
sure,
about,
okay.
that's just about creating tension in the scene.
Yeah. So weirdly, this movie's not over yet, even though that felt kind of climactic.
We've killed the main villain. We've killed the main villain of the film, and Octopussy, the titular character, is on side with James Bond. One would think the film is over, but no. We're now going to raid Kamal's base with a hot air balloon with a Union Jack on the side of it, with Q flying.
First. The reason that Bond goes there is because I keep want to call her Pussy Galore. It's not Pussy Galore, it's Octopussy.
Yeah, you're right.
Octopussy invades the castle with an army of sexy ninjas.
Yes, Power Ranger ninjas and Thing 1 and Thing 2 ninjas, yeah.
Well, she seems to have, like, different battalions, because she has, like, the Thing 1, Thing 2 girls. She has, like, a group of, like, dancers seducing the guards at the front, and then she also just has, like, girls who are just wearing bikinis and shawls. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, every good army should be multifunctional, you know?
I suppose so,
This is what you call good social stealth, Kyle.
I mean, there's a ridiculous moment where they all, like, stack up in a pyramid so that one of them can climb a wall. Just throw up a rope. My goodness.
You've never heard of cheerleaders, Kyle? God. This is for morale as much as it is for anything else, Kyle. But yeah, you're right. This all happens before Bond and Q swoop in a hot air balloon with a massive Union Jack on the side of it. And Bond says, do you know how to fly this thing?
Yes. As soon as you see that hot air balloon, it does kick in with the Bond theme. Yeah, so,
which I approve of. And Bond goes...
That's a good use of the Bond theme to you.
Yeah,
big, giant Union Jack hot air balloon.
Yeah, see, whenever you see a Union Jack flying device, Kyle, I'm on side.
It should go...
Yeah, exactly. It's the theme of Britain.
It's the Snake Charmer theme, yeah.
Yes, the Snake Charmer theme. But Bond says, do you know how to control this thing, Q? And he says it goes by hot air. And then Bond goes, then you can control it. Which feels like a very Q line to say to Bond and not a Bond line to say to Q.
Yeah, they're exchanging blows, you know how it is.
They're exchanging blows, yes.
But anyway, Q is controlling this and Bond immediately jumps off and is like, Bond, what are you doing, you fool?
Yeah, and listen, Kyle, in this scene we get like him sliding down a banister with a machine gun getting multi-kills all over the place. And it's about, he's about to have his crown jewels, his Fabergé eggs crash into the banister's like mantelpiece at the bottom fixture.
So
he shoots
he
it
turns
off.
the gun on that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He slides right
Very
off
good.
it.
But for some reason, so Octopussy came here to kill Khan, but she failed. And then she is now the captive of Khan and Gobinda. And I don't know why they're keeping her alive.
Because she's a good hostage.
Is she? I guess. Like,
Bond has a weakness for women that's just implied.
This is the reason that the movie should have ended by now, is that Khan has no longer has any motivation. This is like the scene in Goldfinger where it cuts to Goldfinger on the plane even though the tension's already been resolved. It's like, well, I guess we also need to kill Goldfinger now still.
Yeah, it's just about wrapping up a thread, really, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this is as relevant as J.W. Pepper showing up right now, you know?
But yeah, they escape with an unconscious Octopussy. Bond follows. Q lands in the balloon and gets swarmed by sexy ladies.
Yes, and he says, cut it out, there's no time for that. And then he says, later, perhaps?
Yes.
Q.
What would Mrs. Boothroyd say, Q?
What would Mrs. Major Jeffrey Boothroyd have to say about this, Q? You're married, man. This is unacceptable.
Married man, you have children. Come on, man.
Yeah, you make this for the kid. You make spy devices for the kids at Christmas. You know, though apparently you don't have grandkids at your advanced age, or maybe you do. Maybe you're making spy gadgets for your 40-year-old child.
He didn't, and I think that line was in Thunderball. He probably has grandkids by now. That was like 15 years ago.
Let's hope so. Gobinda dies?
Yeah.
How does Gobinda die? Oh yeah, they're on the plane.
No, okay, so Bond catches up to the plane on his horse and jumps onto the plane. Again, just another kind of, I quite like this action sequence with him climbing around the plane.
I quite like it too.
But yeah, Bond manages to sabotage one of the engines of the plane, and the plane still flies fine, which maybe that's how that works, but I kind of assume if you knock out one of the propellers of a plane, that fucks everything up.
It's kind of listing to one side. You can see that. No, I think that planes can still fly with like half of however many engines got working.
Okay.
I think it's to do with like efficiency and speed and all that. Like you can't fly for a long time, but like you can get down safely, you know?
Right, okay. I guess like the wings are what's keeping you in the air, right? So you wouldn't just like fall out.
You just
right?
become a glider.
Yeah.
You don't become like an Acme, fucking anvil, you know?
Yeah. But there is a good moment here where Khan says to Govinda, go out there and scam. And Govinda's like, out there on the front of the plane?
He's like, yes.
Okay,
he's like,
I guess.
He calls him Your Excellence. Yeah.
Uh-huh. But yeah, Govinda, he's climbing around in the plane, but Bond flicks the antenna on his nose and biffs him in the nose with it, and that causes him to fall off the plane and die.
Yes, and the stunt actor is very clearly wearing a parachute, but it's okay.
I think we can excuse that, yes.
For a real stunt, yeah. And then the plane's always going down at this point, but Bond opens the door, and then him and Octopussy jump back out of the plane, and...
Yeah, they kind of roll along a cliff edge for a minute, and give them time to jump out.
And then Kamal just stays in the plane and just dies. So basically Kamal was dying from the moment Bond shot out that engine.
Bond shot that engine, yeah.
Yeah, because he does nothing after that, and it wouldn't have affected Kamal's existence, you know?
Yeah, well, F. Kamal Khan.
F. Kamal.
One of our most baffling Bond villains, I think.
Yeah,
not in terms of like being weird, just in terms of like what was their role in the plot.
Yeah, exactly. Bond's really injured, the most we've ever seen Bond injured. He's all slung up. Far too injured to go back out into the field for a while anyway, wouldn't you agree, Kyle?
Far too injured to travel, they say.
Yeah,
yes.
Far too injured to travel. He must stay in India for a while.
He's unfortunately stuck on the land of sexy ladies, yes.
But the boat that takes you to the island of sexy ladies is like a rowboat that's like a ancient Greek row ship where they have like a pacemaster keeping the beat, and they say in and out and in and out.
They sure did, yes.
Yeah. And Bond's sitting there all strung up with like a sling for his leg and a sling for his arm. And then she's like, this is going to be difficult, isn't it, to, get down and dirty Bond. And then he just like, a bit of slapstick, presses like a button and everything collapses and he's fine, actually. Yeah,
he was faking it. Yeah, he was entirely faking it.
But like, it's her ship, it's her bedroom. Like, how did he arrange to do this bit?
I don't know I think he just he's so strongly he broke it all is what happened there.
Right, okay. But he's still actually deadly injured. Yeah.
No, I think he was just faking it so he didn't have to go back to work.
Probably. And then I note here that I guess the backstory between Bond and Octopussy's father just doesn't matter.
No, I mean, she does thank him for killing her dad because apparently her dad was a dick, so...
Yeah, I suppose so. It's all wrapped up neatly.
And we're just like the previous movies, we're going to ignore that she is a criminal that Bond is working with. It's fine.
Yes, it's fine. And Kel, we hit the credits, and we're on an all-time high, apparently. And then James Bond will return in From a View to a Kill.
Is that what, does it say that? I just said View to a Kill. Does it say From a View to a Kill?
Yes, it does.
That's funny. Because that's not what the movie's called, so it's a lie.
Well, yeah, we never got that film. Yeah. We never got From a View to a Kill.
Well, Nathan, that was Octopussy. I think this one, it's messy in terms of the plot. I do think I still quite liked it, though.
Yeah, it is very messy. I agree with you. I don't know if I would have any... I feel like this movie would be... I would skip it, you know?
Uh-huh.
I could just... It's a lot of nonsense. I think like it's a film to watch, to tick off and go, alright, okay, I've seen that and it wasn't dreadful. But I don't think I would any compulsion to ever feel a need to rewatch this.
I suppose that's fair enough, yes.
I actually think, strangely enough, this and For Your Eyes Only are two Bond movies I would just skip on rewatch.
I don't know what we classify here, because I feel like not many of these movies are like masterpieces, right? That's not what you come to James Bond for, is masterpiece filmmaking.
It's been a while since A Man with the Golden Gun.
Yeah.
I quite
Like,
like The
the
Spy
last-
Who Loved Me and its Moonraker twin.
Yeah, I guess we're just like, we're deep in the Moore era of all these movies are starting to feel a bit samey.
Yeah, I don't know, I find them entertaining. Like, I'm rewatching them for entertainment. I'm not rewatching them for the craft.
Yeah, yeah.
And this one's
You
just...
watch Thunderball for the craft, you know?
Oh, yeah.
All those
Oh,
underwater
yeah.
shots.
That's the real thought piece of the film, yeah. And...
Well, speaking of Thunderball, Nathan,
Okay, Kyle.
because as we know, Bond is returning in From a View to a Kill, but that's not what we're doing next. Because next we're going rogue, baby.
Oh, God. So everyone hold on to your butts.
We're going rogue because we're crossing party lines and we're watching Never Say Never Again. The
Jesus
surprise
Christ.
return of Sean Connery.
Wow. A non-Eon film. This is like a what-if scenario. This came out the same year as Never Say Never Again.
One of these bizarre cinema things where there was 2 Bond movies competing for the public attention that year.
And there was hopes that Never Say Never Again was going to be the start of a new franchise of Sean Connery Bond films.
Yes, well, I'm sure we'll get more into it because neither of us have
yes,
ever
we
seen it,
will.
right?
I've never seen Never Say Never Again, no. I'm looking forward to that, Kyle.
Yeah, it's good. We're going to be taking a break next week, so it's going to
We
be
are
a couple
taking a
weeks, but we'll get there.
Yes, we will.
But yeah, that was Octopussy, so that was sure wasn't an episode to record. Hopefully that doesn't come across, but oh boy, we had fun recording this one. Nathan, where can the people find you online?
I was wondering when you were going to say that. The people, of course, can find me online, as always, on all social media hosting services. Threads, Mastodon, Blue Sky especially. I'm still on Twitter, Instagram, and also I appear in Kyle's creative outlet content comment sections from time to time. I also run the name not included / enter the BondVerse Twitter account where we post these episodes. Please give us some love over there if you're still on that platform, because frankly having a little bit of online bants and back and forth with people can be quite fun. Okay, where can people find you?
You can find me at Kyle the Scot on YouTube, where I do video essays and game critiques, and I guess Blue Sky, where maybe I'll do bants. I don't know, Nathan, you've never engaged me with bants on Blue Sky, so how would I know?
I'm sorry,
You're my only tenuous connection to the outside world.
I know, okay. I ladies and gentlemen, I like mail Kyle newspapers from the UK so that he knows what's happening here. You know?
Yeah, no, it's true. I live for the once a month newspaper deliveries where I could see the local news in Glasgow. Yeah.
It's a literal version of last week.
Aye,
tonight.
they're opening up in a new stop down the store. Oh, aye.
You make it seem so local, Kyle. You make it seem so
You
small.
look at newspapers about the new bakery opening up.
This isn't like a village. This is a city of industry and shipbuilding.
Well,
And the village
you can
fair.
find our entire backlog where we've done all of the Snyderverse, all of the X-verse. I think we're exactly halfway through the BondVerse now, so that's exciting.
God.
And yes, and we will see you next time for Never Say Never Again.